let's start doing it. First of all, welcome to Linea Rock and welcome to Milan virtually.
Thank you very much. Great to talk to you, even though my camera's not working.
Okay. So, Nige, Onslaught are ready to unleash on FM Records the new beast, which is called the Generation Antichrist, which is a brutal and extreme new album. That's your sound that we are addicted with. It was mixed, by Grammy Award winning producer Daniel Bergstrand, which worked with Behemoth, In Flames, Meshuggah, and you decided to actually record it at Dugout Studios in Uppsala, Sweden. First of all, I want to ask you if the release is confirmed for August 7th, 2020, since, everybody is postponing, releases in the last few months. And why now is perfect, for your comeback after, 7 years since the last album? And which are the strong points of this new upcoming album?
Yeah, it was amazing to have Daniel on board. We wanted to make an album that sounded completely different to the last record. So this is one of the reasons why we wanted to work with Daniel Bergstrand, so he'd bring something different to the table, We wanted a very aggressive, extreme sounding album. That was the kind of request that we made to Daniel when we started work on the record. And I think that's exactly what he's brought for us. The record to me sounds incredible. Such an aggressive sound, but so very clear at the same time. And yeah, we took a long time. 7 years was a very big gap between this one and the sixth album. But we've been touring a lot in that time. I think we toured for over 4 years. We've done two plus years on the sixth album, which took us into 2016, and then that was the 30th anniversary of our 1986 album, The Force, a fan's favorite, which we had many requests to go out and play that album in its entirety. So it's exactly what we did. Onslaught loves touring, so any excuse to go out on the road for us is great. So we went on and toured that for another 2 years, as crazy as that may seem, for a 1 year anniversary. But the demand was there, so we just kept touring. We went around the world twice, had a lot of fun, but it left a big gap between records, and the label were, guys, come on, we need a new album. So we had to get into writing mode very quick. 2018, when I think the last shows were September sometime. So September 2018, we started writing as soon as we got back from the tour, and we got it together pretty quick, really. So yeah, here we end up now with the album ready, August the 7th release. And we've decided to go ahead with it. Many bands have cancelled or postponing records, but we thought it would be a negative thing to do. And we want to get the record out there, the fans need something new at the time. There's no shows. Many bands have delayed their albums. But we looked at what Testament were doing, Lamb of God, both released an album, so there must be some wise thinking behind that.
That's also a question I had. One of the peculiarities of this new album is certainly the length. It's 37 minutes and 53 seconds with 9 songs, which is nowadays is a big goal, let's say. And then there's the new singer, Dave Garnett, which actually it's a big deal to fill Sy Keeler's shows, who is considered, the main singer, even if you have changed vocalist several times through the years. If I'm correct, this is the 7th singer, so this is also great news on this new album.
A lot of singers, yeah. But only how many? I guess was it? This is the 4th singer to actually record. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean it's always unfortunate when you have to make lineup changes, particularly the vocalist, But the situation was kind of unworkable and it was a necessary change that had to be made. So we found a very, very, very good singer, and he's done a fantastic job on the album. And the fans have really taken to it so far. We obviously, the track Religious Suicide was released about 6 weeks ago, which is the latest single off the album, to feature Dave, and the fans of that city loved it. We played a show in Sweden in February.
Okay.
When Sy was unable to make it, and Dave stepped in there for us. Did a great job. The die-hard Onslaught fans at those shows really love what he did, especially with the old classic material, you know. So it was an easy choice. We didn't look at anybody else when Dave joined the band. He was the number one man to come in, and that was it. He's done amazingly well.
Nige, so Generation Antichrist is a very strong title, and also the lyric content, of the album is very strong. The album, the theme of the album is inspired by a world we're living in, which is so full of hatred, megalomaniacs, and political madness. Was the theme and lyrical content born first, and then inspired the music? Because, I noticed that throughout your career, the lyrics have always been, have always had a full importance. Perhaps also maybe for this reason, in 35 years, actually you have released, 6-7 albums with this one, which are, a few, but albums of substance.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you pick up on the lyrics, because they're extremely important to me. Anyway, I mean, I think the lyrics play equally as an important part as the music for myself, because the music's aggressive, and the lyrics need to be aggressive too. So basically, when we start writing an album, I have all the song titles together first. I try to paint a picture, of what the album's going to be like. So I have everything, the song titles, the album title, the whole lot ready before I even write one note of music. Then it kind of tells me what kind of vibe you want for each track. So you can imagine immediately, strike fast, strike hard. Yeah. It's going to be fast. You know what kind of track that's going to be. Whereas Empire's Fall maybe kind of tells you it's going to be a little bit more not so fast, I guess, a little bit more heavy, and it generally works. If you look back on previous albums, tracks like Chaos is King and Born for War, which are going to be the fast tracks on the Onslaught records, but it does paint that picture for me, so I like to work that way. It's just, this gives me a canvas to work for the music then, and then obviously I get my lyrical ideas, and once the music starts going, then that inspires the darkness in the lyrics, so. But yeah, very important. We've looked at this album in depth, and we've maybe gone a little more political than we have on previous albums, and I think that's because of the situation, what's going on all around the world right now. Yeah. It's not a good place at the moment. You guys in Italy have suffered particularly, and hopefully now coming out the other side of it. Whereas in England we were a little bit later, and it's still not getting too much better. Government are dealing with it really badly, and then of course we've got the whole Brexit situation as well on top of that, which is not good for England either. So it's I think a track like Bow Down to the Clowns is really kind of gained extra relevance over the past months, So yeah, it's a very important album lyrically for me, and I did spend a lot of time on this one getting it right, because there are different themes than what we've usually tackled. So I wanted to make sure it was very precise and very accurate with what I was trying to say.
Nige, in the past, Onslaught tried, to explore new things, not sticking strictly to classic thrash speed metal style. in the long run, do you think that the nostalgia approach is easier? But maybe it can be a double-edged sword as well, and the need of revival in the end is somehow limiting the future of rock and also the future of Onslaught career.
We've when we approached making this album, we deliberately went back to our roots to a certain extent. Looked at our early influences, which were Motorhead, Discharge, because we felt that the last two albums, Six and Sound of Violence, were maybe the most technical records we'd made. So we needed to do something different, because as I said before, we don't want to release two records that sound very similar back to back. So where did we go with the next Onslaught record? So we looked at the roots and let's make things more aggressive, more raw, so we maybe took 2 steps backwards to hopefully maybe take 4 or 5 steps forward with our career. Well, the album's got a very modern edge to it with the production from Daniel Bergstrand, whereas the arrangements of the songs and the basis of the songs are maybe more in line with the Force album from 1986, and I've actually used some riffs that I had that I wrote from 1983. I've used those in a couple of songs on the album. For example, the chorus of Strike Fast, Strike Hard is a riff that I had back in 1983, and we've used it in the song, and it fits great, and it just gives it that old school edge from our early influences, So now, I mean, we're always open to new ideas, but I don't think we're going to reinvent the wheel. Nobody's going to do that in thrash metal anymore. It's not possible. It's been around too long. I think the fans just want to hear great songs, and that's what we try to deliver.
Okay.
We're not going to really go off and reinvent thrash metal, because that's not going to happen. But it's all about great riffs, great vocals, and songs that people remember. So that's what we try to do.
Nige, you told before that fans, wants the classic, classic sound, the classic thrash metal. You are one, of the legend of this genre. You are synonymous, with the brilliance and endurance, of thrash metal of, back in the days and also nowadays. But having an historical name is maybe not enough to sell new records and or to pursue a career. What do you think? And what motivation moves you nowadays, to keep on doing this? And what is your extra gear, that puts you one step ahead, that give you an extra edge over all the competitors in thrash metal?
Well, we're always striving to become bigger, better, and make better music, that will inevitably lead to hopefully bigger shows and things like that, and that's what we aim for. Unfortunately, the shows that we've had ready prepared for the promotion for the Generation Antichrist album have obviously been postponed now, which is a huge blow, because we had some massive festivals across the world, 3 tours booked, and we've kind of lost all that for the time being.
Yeah.
We were planning some big things for these shows, not just the standard kind of get on stage show. We had some pyros and special stage show going on. So it's kind of holding us back a little bit, but we've got to try and make those plans move forward for next time. We always feel we write better music each time we make an album. And stay relevant with the fans. We never cheat the fans. We always try to improve ourselves and make a better entertainment experience for everybody, and that's something that I find defines us from a lot of bands, and hopefully is going to keep us moving forward. We've always got the inspiration of coming to wonderful places like Italy and playing such great shows as we have over the last few years. We've had some amazing times. played some great festivals, and it's always a pleasure. And that goes back to the early days when we came to Italy for the first time with Motorhead.
Yeah.
We played 4 shows back then, and that was kind of where I think Onslaught fell in love with Italy, and the Italian fans really took to Onslaught at the time as well. We had some incredible times back then, and that stayed forever, you know. And we want to keep building on that. We want to just keep things moving on and making it better for ourselves and better for the fans.
As you mentioned, Nige, Motherhead is still your main influence and is still, you know, one of the biggest bands, you know, from the roots for everybody. You mentioned that you toured with them. Which is your best memory of Lemmy? And did you have any chance to meet him in the last period of his life?
I mean, the first tour which we did, I think it was the Orgasmatron tour, where I think we just released the Force album, and we did 4 shows in Italy. We played Milan, Florence, Naples, and Gorizia.
Oh wow!
I still remember it very clearly. It was just amazing, you know. We were young kids, and they just treated us with so much respect, you know. I think the first night of the tour was in Zurich, and we'd arrived just after they sound checked. And Phil Taylor came up to us and said, introduced himself and said, "Guys, I'm going to be introducing you on stage every single night of this tour." So, which was amazing. And I think the second night we went to Naples, and we played this huge marquee tent around like 4,000-6,000 people, something like that.
Oh wow!
And we actually kicked Motorhead's ass on that night, you know. Motorhead come on stage, and the crowd were just shouting Onslaught all the way through the set. It was really mad, and we thought, oh no, this is not good. But let me come up to us after the show and said, "Oh, guys, that was absolutely incredible. You're so good. Like, just keep up the good work." And that's what we did. But they were brilliant. They looked after us so well. We had full use of the PA, full use of lights, and they would get us anything we wanted, you know. And we'd have breakfast with them every day and dine with them every day and drink with them after the shows. And they were just such amazing guys, you know. And it taught us a lot of respect, how to respect other bands on tour, and that's very important. And we learned so much from them about that, and that'll never be forgotten.
Nige, so you were mentioning about, you know, the tour postponed, but it's almost time to come back on stage sooner or later, maybe 2020, 2021. Do you have already some dates planned, and are you going to come back to Italy?
Yeah, obviously the festivals that were cancelled have been moved to next summer, so we've still had all those rebooked, which is great and something to look forward to. The American tour is going to have to be rebooked. Unfortunately, that's a long process. But we're trying to book as much as we can for 2021 now to try and get ahead of everything, because the album will be out, obviously. Hopefully fans are going to know the album by the time we come to tour. So we're going to jump ahead of all the bands who delay their album, hopefully, and then we'll be in a good position to get shows. But I'm aware there's a festival slot possibly for us in I think it's May.
Yeah.
In Italy that we're hoping it's going to be confirmed. So that's some very much to look forward to for us, for sure. Obviously our last show we did was Rock the Castle with Slayer, so yeah. We want to come back as soon as possible. Oh yes, thank you very much. It's been great chatting to you.
Onslaught. Grazie. Ciao.